Let's get through all of the signings from today. And Kirk Cousins, Tom, today it was official. He got out of the car. There was a big feed going on NFL Network.
It was a little strange and weird. Like, it's just a guy going to sign a contract. I don't know why we're hiding in the bushes. It was
very TMZ-esque.
That's how I was going to make that comparison myself. It was not an $86 million contract, though.
No, it was not.
It was originally reported. Chris Cooley, who said it was going to be fully guaranteed, said like 93. Then NFL and everyone said 86, and now it's 84. So the Vikings saved money.
Should we give some credit to Chris Cooley, by the way? Remember when we laughed at that?
Yeah, because I didn't believe him. And everyone else said, no, this is not going to happen. And it's like, oh, JK, yes, it is. So you were right, Chris Cooley, and we were wrong on that one there. Look, this is a truly record-shattering, record-breaking, market-altering contract for Kirk Cousins because it's all guaranteed. So, Cam, you were making a joke. If the Vikings cut Kirk Cousins tomorrow, $84 million on the cap.
That's the cap hit.
It's all due instantly.
If you go to Spotrac and you check out the breakdown of his contract, if you cut him tomorrow, it's a big-time dead money hit. So I don't think the Vikings should do that.
No.
Hit the reaction polls, of course, folks. Grade the Vikings signing of Kirk Cousins. Heart for A, like for B, wow face for C, laughing face for D or F, and you'll have the option to do that for all the signings that we go through here, Tom. I don't think I've asked you yet your grade on the signing.
I mean, like, I think it's better for Minnesota because they have the cap space to do this. Like, they can start out and sign Sheldon Richardson if they want to, and if they can get him to sign, because they have the money to do that. That's pretty cool.
All right, let's check in with the Oakland Raiders. It's been a busy day for them.
It has.
They have signed Doug Martin. It's a one-year deal with monetary amounts yet to be released.
Probably not very much.
But I saw this coming here, Tom. I heard that John Gruden was really impressed with him when he met with Martin. It was only a matter of time, it seemed, that they were going to sign this running back. And let's face it, he's looking for a bit of a resurgence here. It's been quite some time since he's had real success in the run game.
I got my joke I'll get to later on about what the Oakland Raiders are doing right now. It's interesting to me because you're assuming you're going to bring back Marshawn Lynch. You have Jalen Richard. You have DeAndre Washington. I will say this, though, about the Oakland Raiders. They're going to run the ball a lot next year. They've signed 2 blocking tight ends this offseason. I think they're going to run the ball as often as they possibly can here with Doug Martin and Marshawn Lynch. I'll wait to see the exact money involved here. But, I mean, it's, I don't know, a B. I'll assume B, assuming they don't throw a lot of money. They also, by the way, signed Keith Smith, former Cowboys fullback, to a top 5 deal at the position,
so they
which
have
is like $2.1 million.
They have a loaded backfield all of a sudden, Tom. Not loaded in the sense of talent per se, but numbers. They got Lynch, they got Jalen Richard, Washington as well, Doug Martin. How does that all shake out?
It's not great for fantasy.
Yeah,
because they're all going to eat into each other's reps. But if you give Doug Martin a couple of carries each game, you give Marshawn Lynch, Richard some, Washington as well, maybe they try and trade one of those small scat backs. I think you're going to see Oakland run the ball a lot more than they've done in the past under Derek Carr. Or with Derek Carr, I should say. We'll
get to another signing with the Oakland Raiders in a few moments, but let's check in with the Cincinnati Bengals. Tyler Eifert coming on back to Cincinnati. It's a one-year deal. Further details not quite known yet. Same case as with Doug Martin here, but obviously we know the ceiling with this guy, but we've barely seen him on the football field, Tom.
When Tyler Eifert plays, he is one of the really top 5 tight ends in the NFL. He's that good.
Agreed.
Like, he's a dangerous threat in the red zone. He makes a ton of plays for you. But the issue is, you can see in the photo, his elbow's always messed up, his backspin messed up. I mean, it's a one-year prove-it deal for the Bengals, who do have some other tight end depth. But from their perspective, you're bringing back a guy that you liked, that you drafted. When he's on the field, it's an easy A grade. If he gets hurt again, it's like, oh, well, we tried, but he got hurt again. Like, if Eifert would play in all 16 games, he'd be the highest paid tight end in the NFL. I think he would make more than Jimmy Graham because when he plays, he's incredible. The issue is he never really plays.
Right.
So that's the issue there.
Quite a knock on him.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with Tyler Eifert heading into 2018 if he can stay healthy. The Miami Dolphins, of course, they lose Jarvis Landry, made a couple other moves as well, but insert Josh Sitton. They got him, fantastic guard, formerly of the Bears and Packers too.
They also traded for Daniel Kilgore in a very weird trade that you broke down for
Quite
the 49ers
weird, yes.
report today. With the Dolphins, I actually love this move a lot. I don't really quite get what they're doing. They're making a lot of weird moves, cutting some good players, adding some not so good players at odd positions, adding 2 receivers when you only traded away Jarvis Landry. I don't know how the money and the numbers work out there, but I love this signing. Offensive guard was a massive need for the Miami Dolphins. They needed help there at 1, if not 2 starters, and they got a good one in Josh Sitton. I don't know why he always gets cut by teams, Bears and the Packers among them, but he's a good offensive lineman.
Steady.
This is an A grade, Cam.
Yeah.
I don't know how many A grades have been out in free agency, but it's an A for me.
Javon Bushrod moved on. He went to
Not
the
great
New Orleans
anyway.
Saints.
Not great anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled last year. The guard position in general struggled big time for the Miami Dolphins, so big time ad for them. And I'll mention Daniel Kilgore. He does bring some durability there, and I think he'll probably play center for the Miami Dolphins next year.
He replaces Pouncey, so Pouncey, Sitton are going to be 2 of your key interior linemen if you're a Dolphins fan.
So big get there for the Miami Dolphins. How about this move within the NFC South? Dontari Poe headed to the Carolina Panthers, 3-year, $27 million deal. He is essentially going to replace Star Lotulelei, who's moving on to the Buffalo Bills, Tom, so obviously filling that void.
Yeah, we actually don't even know the exact details yet on Star's contract. We do know that it was a 5-year deal. I would expect that the Panthers actually might have gotten Poe for less than Star signed with the Buffalo Bills, and if that's the case, this is a really good signing for the Carolina Panthers. I think it's about the right price range for a guy like Poe. It's under $10 million. It could come into maybe something like 27.5, 27 or 28 million, excuse me, in terms of the overall value with some incentives and whatnot. But this is an A grade for me. I think the Panthers got a good player at a solid price. They didn't overpay for maybe a guy like Star. And I think in the end, Dontari Poe is a better player than Star Lotulelei is. And if that's the case, upgraded and got cheaper, it's a win-win. What more do you want as an NFL team? So well done by the Carolina Panthers. I'll mention this, though. Putting money on the defensive line means they might not get a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, who we'll discuss later on in the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers here. Dontari Poe actually outperformed Lotulelei in terms of pressures, and he tied with Lotulelei in terms of run-stuffing ability. So
what you want.
If you want to look at the numbers, Poe outbeat Lotulelei there. All right, we mentioned the Oakland Raiders. We have more news with them. Jordy Nelson has signed a 2-year, $15 million deal. How about this? With $13 million of that guaranteed. And the Raiders, well, they cut Michael Crabtree in the same day. We'll get to that later.
So I'll be honest, Cam. I think the Raiders just got worse at wide receiver. I remain a believer in Jordy Nelson. But when Nelson came back from his injury last year, he simply didn't look the same. He didn't look like he had the same explosiveness and the ability to separate. And I kind of always thought, oh, it'll be back, it'll be back, it'll be back, and it'll come back at some point. And it never really did. And you end up paying a very similar amount per year. You're giving Jordy Nelson that you cut to save with Michael Crabtree. If I had to pick between Jordy Nelson and Michael Crabtree, and we'll get to a reaction poll on that here in a second as well, I'd pick Michael Crabtree. And do you agree with me, Cam, or am I just taking crazy pills here?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think Michael Crabtree is the better receiver, but in terms of the total package, apparently there had been locker room issues going on with Michael Crabtree, and perhaps that kind of put the Oakland Raiders in a position where they had to move on from him and wanted to go out and grab Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson has lost a step. He's not going to win on the outside now as much as he used to. And so he's a brand name, and I think it's going to get Raider Nation excited, but I would rather have Michael Crabtree, so I'm throwing up my like here instead of my heart. I think Michael Crabtree is a better red zone target. I think he is a better possession receiver and also better at creating separation than Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson, hot take of the day, may have just been a product of Aaron Rodgers. We'll see.
Maybe, although Aaron Rodgers is really good. I do still have some hope in Nelson. I do see some fair comments coming in about how they felt that, oh, Crabtree was an issue, he and Carr weren't getting along, which you can make the argument, I think it's a fair one, but here's the flip side of that. They were going to keep Crabtree until Nelson became available. So it wasn't a big enough issue that they weren't going to cut him outright. But it was an issue once they can get Jordy Nelson, who I don't think is as good. So I don't think it's a locker room issue for the Raiders and Crabtree because they were going to bring him back. I think it's that they think Nelson is better than Crabtree right now, and I don't really agree with that.
And that's what it comes down to. You're watching NFL Daily here on Chat Sports, presented by Autolist. Head on to Autolist.com. Get your car shopping done in a flash. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, don't go to the dealership. Don't surf a million websites. You're wasting your time. Autolist.com. is the way to go for that dream new or used car. Cam Rogers here alongside Tom Downey. Check us out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99 and at WhatGoingDownies.
Mine's punnier.
That's very true. Let's continue on with some of the signings here. We'll take a look at Austin Seferian-Jenkins. This broke a couple of moments ago. He's going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-year deal, $10 million worth. Helps a lot considering the Jags lost Allen Robinson.
I think this is a pretty good deal for ASJ for the Jags. He showed some of the upside that NFL teams thought he had when he came out of the draft. He had some issues and a lot of stuff that he's been able to clear up, which is great for him. I think he's going to be a more dynamic tight end option for the Jags than maybe they've had in the past. And I think a guy like ASJ has the upside to outplay that $5 million per year deal. I think it's a nice B signing. We'll talk more about Eric Ebron. I wouldn't have minded him instead if you're Jacksonville. But I think in terms of what the Jags are getting, it's a fair, not an elite move, but it's a fair in terms of what he brings to the team and how much he's getting paid. You see okay numbers, 50 receptions and 57 yards and 3 TDs. It was with the Jets, so it doesn't really count.
Sure.
Because Josh McCown didn't have the best numbers.
It's a mulligan when you play with the Jets.
Just like the Browns. Well, maybe not anymore. Maybe not anymore.
Maybe things are changing in Cleveland, Tom. Yes. I don't know. People are certainly talking about that. Grade the signing of Austin Seferian-Jenkins to the Jacksonville Jaguars, folks. Let's check in with one final signing here. Zac Brown re-signing with the Washington Redskins, 3-year deal, $24 million. Linebacker there, very steady player there in that front seven.
Finally got the contract he was searching for. Zac Brown, for the past 2 years, had a good year with the Titans, broke out with the Bills, had another great year with the Redskins, and he'd been searching for that big money, long-term deal, and he finally got it at 3 years, $24 million. That's actually up to $24 million, so we don't have the exact amount yet, but in terms of what it's actually going to be versus how much is incentives, but I think it's going to come in close to that number, so we went with the $24 million. It's maybe a little pricey for Zac Brown, who's a good linebacker, but he's not elite. Then again, Anthony Hitchens got $9 million per year. So
the market's out of whack.
The market's all out of whack because the Kansas City Chiefs are apparently in love with Hitchens, which is, fine, but I think it's a solid move for the Redskins to solidify that inside linebacker core with Mason Foster and Zac Brown. You can cross that off on the Redskins need list.